Are you ready for the PATS Nation? The only real deal Patriots postgame show. And now, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into the PATS Nation, presented by CORSO and Catone, the real post-game, Patriots post-game show. And sitting right over there is Mark Catone, as always. And in the booth joining us is our producer-director, Joe Guarnieri. And you, we want to hear from you. We got a lot to talk about. So the chat's open. Want to hear that. So go ahead, chat in. You can send a tweet, Corso and Catone, and an email, corso.catone@gmail.com. If you want to call in, leave a message, or get into the show, it's 855-313-PATS, 855-313-7287. And week one for the New England Patriots sees them fall to the Miami Dolphins at home, 17-16. And you know what, Mark? Let's just, you know what? Let's get right into Mac Mania. Joe, let's have it.
All right, you guys ready for Mac Mania? I'm with you.
Hey, nice graphic, Joe. So Mac Mania, this is going to be our segment. We talk about the quarterback every week. Want to track Mac Jones and you know how he's doing. So Mark, I was going to call you Mac. You know that's how
Mac. I know. What's it at this point? Does it really
that's
matter?
How distraught I was over this loss. But Mark, how did he do?
I thought the kid played well, Chris. What was he? I think he was 29 for 39. 281 yards, touchdown. I mean, you know, there was some balls he could have probably thrown a little bit better. I mean, he missed on a few plays. But, Chris, you can't put this loss on him, I don't think.
No.
I mean, I think the kid did what you asked him to do, you know?
He did exactly what they asked him to do. I mean, Mark, more. Don't you think more than they asked him to do?
Well, Chris, put it this way. You spent all the money on the tight ends. Where the hell were the tight ends? Jonnu Smith had 5 receptions. Hunter Henry had 3. And those were the only targets they had. 5 targets for Smith, 5 balls caught. 3 targets for Smith. Henry, 3 catches caught. But that's it. What you know, you can't put it on Mac Jones, I don't think. No. I mean, Jones was dunking when he had to. And then you had brought this up during the game, Chris, to me. And then when he had the opportunity to start to spread downfield, we thought he did it, right? What you saw that?
He did. Listen, the beginning of the game, he took what they gave him. At one point, he was like 6 for 8 for like 60 yards, or 6 for 7, I think it was, or 7 for 8, whatever. He had only missed 1 pass, and he was like 60 yards, which means he was taking the dunk, the check downs, the dunks, the dinks, things that they were giving him, which is smart. And I thought that his movement in the pocket was real good. I mean, there were some times where they brought some edge pressure, and you thought, they're going to, and he just stepped up, made the proper read, delivered the ball on time. And, I thought he was real accurate today.
Chris, at one point, he had thrown 20 passes, and they showed the graphic during the game. He threw 20 passes to 8 different receivers. Jesus, who did that remind you of? I know it didn't remind you of Cam Newton.
Yeah, and that's what I was counting up, too, over here is look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different guys caught the ball for multiple catches. I mean, Bourne only had 1 catch, but Mac Jones, look, you can do a lot of things in this game, and there's a lot of crap we're going to talk about the reason why they lost this game, but Mac Jones is certainly not a reason. So, I mean, if you're going to take a positive from this game, which Mark and I, that's hard for us to do when we lose, but if you're going to, Mac Jones is the positive, and that's who you want to be the positive. But, I thought he was good in the first half. Then you and I spoke at the half, and we talked about the fact that he's thinking and dunking. At some point, he's going to have to get the ball down the field a little more, and he did. In the second half, they bought him a little more time. He made the proper reads, and he was getting that ball down the field. Penalties and crap like that kept pushing them back from these drives, but he did a great job. I mean, when it was nut cutting time, okay, 3 minutes left to go in the game, down by 1, I guess, he put them in position to win the game, Mark. And we said Don't do that to the rookie. That's one thing we talked about. This team cannot put the rookie in that kind of position where he's got to win the game, right? So
no, you're right.
But he
But
did.
I told you, Chris, I thought he could handle it. And for the most part, he did handle it. I mean, of course, another turnover. What was Harris inside the 10-yard line when he fumbled that football? I mean,
Yeah, or at least inside the 15.
real close inside the 15, at least. You're right. And he fumbles the ball. The one throw, Chris, that really impressed me with Jones in that second half, throwing the ball down the field. It was in the fourth quarter, and it might have been on the drive where Harris fumbled, or it might have been the field goal drive before that. I'm not sure. He's getting pressure up the middle in his face. He's strong. He
and he
steps
popped
back.
it over the
He's
top to
throwing off
Myers.
he's throwing off his back foot, and he throws it to Myers. And I'm like, wow. You know what? That's a play, Chris. That's a veteran play from a rookie. And I was so impressed with that throw. But then, of course, the mistakes cost him. But you can't put that on Jones. I mean, come on. If you really watch the game.
The first comment I made when he pushed that throw was, there's no way Cam Newton would have done that, would have made that throw.
And then even the throw, Chris, earlier in the game, the over-the-top throw to James White on the wheel route. Chris was on the phone with me at the time, and he's like, oh, look at that throw. Because that's just a throw that you don't expect rookies to make.
Put it right in the basket, right into the basket. Again, there's been comparisons to Brady at this stage of the careers. And Brady didn't look this good coming out of the gate. Now, Brady had to come in for an injury, so it took him some time. But the point is, if you remember Tom Brady in 01, 03, 04, those years, this is it right here. Game manager, ding,
yeah, this
dunk,
was it.
boom,
This was
boom.
it. Yeah,
Complete
it was.
the pass to 8 different guys, 10 different guys. For
Absolutely.
and down the field they came, Givens and Branch and these guys. This is what you saw today out of Mac Jones, and this is what you're going to need to see from him all year long. Mark, look, if he continues to play like this, they're going to win a lot more games they're going to lose if they don't screw themselves over like they did today. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot all day long, Mark. All day.
Yeah, it was. If it wasn't a penalty, it was a turnover. It was just boneheaded plays all day.
But I think that you can get on him if you want to get on him for that play at the beginning of the game where the pressure's coming and he throws it behind them. I mean, I think
Belichick will get on him a little bit in the film room. I think.
Yeah, that's a coaching point. But once again, what have we been hearing out of training camp all summer long? When he makes a mistake, he doesn't repeat it. He doesn't repeat the mistake. Yeah, he learns from it and he doesn't do it again. And you didn't see that crap for the rest of the game.
Chris, you know what else I noticed from him? The leadership I saw of him. And they showed it quick. So if you weren't really paying attention, you would have missed it.
When he went like this.
He went like that, right? But the second piece was when Harris fumbles, walking off the field, the defense was coming on the field, and he's clapping his hands, yelling at them, let's go, get a stop.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because he wanted the ball back. And of course, we couldn't get the stop. But that's later in the show. Of course, we couldn't get a stop. But he's there clapping his hands, telling him, let's go, get a stop, because he wanted the ball back. That's a veteran type of a move there. He's not a rookie tucking his tail in between his legs and saying, we fumbled. He wanted the ball back, and he was trying to inspire his defense. You know?
And he's walking up and down the sideline, talking to the offense, talking to Andrews, talking to Andrews, a captain on this team, talking to them, saying, come on, boys, let's go. We're ready. We're not done yet here. Let's go. Because I feel like if the defense it got him the ball back, okay, I think we would have won the
game. I think you would have brought him down for the field goal, Chris. I do. And you know what, Chris? That walking up and down the sidelines, Jesus. Who used to do that? I'm not even going to bring him up because that's over. That era is over. But the kid, let's just say, Chris, showed the poise of a veteran today, not of a rookie quarterback. In certain situations, he looked like somebody you would never guess it was the first game he's ever started in the NFL in a real game, Chris.
Right. And don't worry, we'll get to 12 in a few minutes with Brady versus Belichick segment, and also a couple more fun things that we have in store for you, like the Sunday Stiff. So again, with Mac Jones, Mark, one of the real impressive things for me too was, and I mentioned this already, his movement in the pocket. You know, in the first half, he kind of stood still a little bit, didn't move a lot. Second half,
You got comfortable, Chris.
because they were getting some pressure. They brought guys all day long. They brought pressure on him all day. And I thought that the offensive line did a fairly good job of picking it up, but he moved in the pocket. I don't know where we heard that before either, but his mobility in the pocket, Cam Newton, we would never have seen this from Cam Newton today. Ever.
No, Chris, let me tell you something. I think you're going to see this kid get better and better, because don't fool yourself, Chris. Flores brought pressure from all angles today. He was trying to rattle this kid, and I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. I don't think he rattled him at all. I think the kid was poised. He made some mistakes. He made some throws. That throw to Myers on the out pattern, you know, he was rolling out. He let him too much. That should have been a first down pass probably. But so he wasn't perfect. But I think you're going to see this kid get even better, Chris, every week. And he wasn't rattled today. And Flores threw a bunch of garbage at this kid to try to confuse him and rattle him, and he didn't.
Well, listen, that pass you're talking about to Myers, a number one, gets that and gets down the sideline anyway.
Okay,
so we'll get into that in a second. Listen, that was the Mac Jones. That was the Mac Mania segment, and that was brought to you by Special Sauce Podcast, Startup Finance, and Drive Yourself to Success, specialsaucepodcast.com. And Mark, getting into the rest of the offense, look, we're touching on it a little bit, but we'll start with the offensive line, who I thought had an uneven day today. Now, you look at the running game, okay, where are they? Where are the stats? They rushed for...
Well, Harris had 100 yards, I think, rushing.
He rushed for 100 yards even on 23 carries. White had 12. So, you know, the point, and then there was a few other guys, you know, trickled in there. So they rushed for about 130 yards, roughly, okay, on roughly 30 carries. So, that, you know, the average was pretty good. So the offensive line blocked well, I thought, at times. I thought in the passing game, you know, I thought they struggled at times. Now, they had to deal with a lot of pressure, but I thought they struggled. You?
No, they did. They did struggle. I think they struggled, and I think they struggled to pick up some blitzes and different things that Flores was doing out there. And obviously they struggled at right tackle, Chris. They went through three of them. I mean, they had injuries to two guys, and that could be a problem going forward, that right tackle position, if those guys are going to be out any length of time. We don't know what those injuries were for the first two guys out there. But yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I think it was an uneven game. And Chris, the reason it was uneven too was not only because of some of their pass protection, but just the offensive line, Chris, some of those penalties. I mean, they were very undisciplined.
Well,
I mean, the offensive line had some untimely penalties that hurt us.
Yeah, you had holding calls, and when Uenu went out and Haran came in, Haran was horrendous, which made them have to go to the number 3. Well, I don't even know his name at this point.
I don't know his name either.
But the point is,
right.
Yeah, Mark, penalties. Nice reception to Bourne and run. There was a blocking call. The one that pissed me off the most with the offensive line was, and I think it was that play.
It was Wynn. It was Wynn, right? On the other side?
On the other side, where it was the non-play. It wasn't the play side. It was the back side of the play, and he's committing a holding penalty. I don't
know what that was.
Listen, we talked about the strength of this team, okay, coming in is the offensive line.
Yeah.
And their lack of discipline on that line today, I don't know how many holding calls there were. I know there were 8 penalties, but I think there were 3 to 4 of those were holding calls on the offensive line. I'm pretty sure.
No, they were. They were. The offensive line, Chris, like you said, it was an uneven day, but it was uneven, but it might have even, Chris, been slanting more towards not a good day, because they had some key penalty, Chris, at some key points of the game with some plays that might have made things easier for the offense if you don't get those penalties. And it killed some momentum, and it killed some drives. There were drive killers, right? They killed drive. You know,
Mark, what are the two stats that correlate to wins and losses more than anything in football?
Penalties and turnovers.
So let's get to those now. Okay, because the running backs in this game, and that was, again, we said the two strengths of this team are going to be the offensive line and their ability to run the ball.
Chris, we thought their running back room was one of the strongest in football. We've been saying that all season, all preseason.
And 2 of them put the ball on the ground today. So, you got the rookie Stevenson, who, I'll say this. both situations, they're fighting for extra yards, which I get. It's, I'm okay with fighting that hard, but you have to have the discipline to protect that ball when you're doing that. You got to get the other arm wrapped around it. Now, Stevenson's
I think the guy made a good play. The guy made a good play, yeah. I thought, Chris.
Guy made a good play. I thought it was close to looking like, I think whatever the call was on the field was going to stand. Yeah. Because you couldn't tell really if his ass hit the ground or if his shin or something like that.
You're right, Chris. If they had called that not a fumble on the field, it would have remained not a fumble. You're right.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
The other one, this is now what, a three-year player?
Yeah.
This is third year, right? Harris. Yeah. I mean, he redshirts basically his first year.
And so, Chris, this is a kid. This is a kid that they're going to lean heavy on Harris because I think he's going to be over 1,000-yard rusher without question, Chris, if he plays 17 games. But you can't do what he did.
Right. Yeah. No. Listen. I mean, I still think he's going to be up in that running. I mean, he was good today. He ran the ball well. He saw creases. He cut back. His vision between the tackles, which to me is the toughest thing to do as a running back. The toughest thing to do as a running back is to have good enough vision at the point, at the line of scrimmage between tackle to tackle. And I thought his vision was good. And then the next part is getting on the second level, which he's fantastic of having good vision. So I thought he ran the ball well. He averaged about 4.5 yards a carry. But you can't. That all goes in the toilet if you put the ball on the ground in a
game-winning drive. Basically, that was potentially a game-winning drive, Chris.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It can't happen. And Belichick, look, he put Stevenson in the doghouse. I don't know that I like that so much. I think that's an outdated concept.
It is an outdated concept because he's your best short yardage runner on the team.
What'd you think of James White?
James White, Chris, we talked about this last year, and we cut him some slack. He had a tough year. He had the loss of his father, and he had some personal things going on. And I love James White, and we cut him some slack last year. The COVID, everything was going on last year. It was a tough year.
Right.
But, Chris, man, he's lost a few steps, Chris. Jeez.
Those get out to the edge catches and then make a move and go. Yeah, that's gone. He's just not going to do that anymore.
JJ Taylor.
We missed your friend, yeah.
J.J. Taylor was out today, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to him. He was listed as out. He was inactive, and we missed him because I'm going to tell you something, Chris, and I told you this like 2 or 3 times during the game.
Yeah.
As the year goes on, I think you're going to see White play less and less, and because I think White needs to become Taylor needs to become that back, Chris, because he can skirt away from guys. White doesn't have that acceleration anymore, Chris.
Well, for that to happen, Stevenson, bigger backs, Harris are going to have to get better in blitz pickup because they're going to send heat at Mac Jones all year long.
Absolutely, they are. Positively.
So they're going to test him, and they're going to test him over and over
Positively.
again. So he passed the test today, but we'll see what happens. So, the running backs, they ran the ball well, but you can't. Putting the ball on the ground,
Chris,
that gives you an F.
You cannot fumble the football. You get an F. 2 fumbles that, you cannot put on the ball.
I don't care you rush for 100 yards. So,
I don't care either.
And as far as the wideouts go, I thought they had a better second half than first half. I mean, I thought Aguilar came to life a little bit. Let's look. We'll look at a little
bit. He caught the touchdown too, a little bit.
And he had 5 catches for 72 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets.
He gave life a little bit.
Right, but in the first half, he was basically invisible.
But Chris,
James White, 6 catches. Myers again, I think is going to be his go-to guy.
He is going to be his
go-to guy. 6 for 44. Yeah,
he was his go-to guy. He's going to be his underneath guy. He's going to be the guy he's looking for on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Even though it should be Henry or Smith.
Yeah, right? But the guy I'm disappointed with today is Bourne. He only had 3 targets, but he had 1 catch. You're going to have to get more out of him.
Well, he had that other catch, Chris, was about a 25-yard catch on the penalty. They called it back. But listen, Chris, I said this during the draft. I said it after the draft. I said it in preseason. I do not like their receiving core at all. I think that's a major, major mistake that they didn't go get themselves a receiver, a top flight receiver, because I was not impressed with Aguilar and I was not impressed with Bourne when they signed him. And I told you that, Chris. I think you're throwing money away on those 2 guys. And yeah, I know Aguilar played a little better in the second half, and maybe Aguilar will make a fool out of me as the year goes on. But I think that's still an area, Chris, that we're really deficient and lacking in, and we didn't address it. during the offseason enough to be a bona fide playoff team that can make a push and win a game or two in the playoffs. I just don't think we have the receivers.
I know it was kind of a throw that kind of got behind them a little, but the throw you mentioned to Myers on the sideline, that could have been, another 4 yards. Metcalf, Brown.
Those guys make that catch.
They make that catch, and they just stiff arm and go down the sideline. That's it. So, yeah, they need it. And again, we mentioned the tight ends. They came to life a little bit more. Jonnu Smith had about 5 receptions. He had 5. He had, let's see, 5 receptions for 42 yards, 5 for 5. Henry had 3 for 3. So, I mean, every target they caught. But they're going to need to use them. In those short 4th and 4, they need to use those guys more. That's it. They need to be on the field. And we saw that on one of the plays.
Chris, the two tight ends combined had
3rd and 4.
Chris, the two tight ends combined had under 100 yards. That's not going to cut it. Right. The way this offense is set up, Chris, with the formations that they're running, those two tight ends have to combine for over 100 yards, maybe a touchdown almost every week if you're going to be successful, Chris, because you can't count on your receivers.
No. So for the offense, I thought they moved the ball. They moved the ball fairly well. Mac Jones looked poised. Turnovers, penalties, killed them today. And they're going to have to improve if they're going to win at all in this league. 17-16, the Patriots lose to the Miami Dolphins. When we come back, let's get to the other side of the ball and talk some defense right after this.
How do I get to the point where I understand my passion enough to communicate it outward and dial myself in so that I can craft my own sauce? If you don't have anyone that's going to give you the right advice, now you do. We've been discussing where we live and what areas do we want to always talk about. And really, it's startup, it's finance, and drop. We are Special Sauce Finance.
Back in with the Pats Nation, the Real Patriots post-game show. And Mark, looking at the defensive side, and look, I know we haven't mentioned, some other things that relate to the offense, but I think we're going to be talking about some of those things, those intangibles, when we get into our Sunday Stiff segment. And for those of you who don't know that, this will be a segment coming up, the Sunday Stiff, and Mark, what's stiff mean? So for these people, what is Sunday Stiff?
Do I got to explain to you what a stiff is?
You don't have to explain to me. You got to explain to them.
They absolutely stunk. Yeah. That's what a stiff is.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Now, on the other side of the ball, okay, looking at the defense. Now, listen, when you look at the stats, this is another one of those situations, again, where we go to the defensive side of the ball and we say, well, they didn't allow, because when you look at the Dolphins, you see Tua was 16 of 27, which, it's similar to the Mac Jones numbers. He missed 11, 202 yards. That's fairly under control in this league now. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So those look okay. They rushed for under 100 yards, okay, with Gaskin and Malcolm Brown and so on. So when you look at this kind of thing, and they held Devontae Parker to 4 receptions, Waddle 4 receptions, Tua kind of spread the ball around a little bit too, to about 5 receivers. So when you look at the stats, you look at it and you say, well, the defense didn't have a bad game today. But the eye test, Mark, like the eye test to me
so Chris, but you let them come out on their opening drive, they drive down the field, right? You let them come out to start the second half, they drive down the field. You turn the ball over with like 3:20 remaining in the game. Okay, bad turnover, get it. They're pinned inside their 20. You got 3 timeouts left. You can't get the ball back for your offense, and you can't get a stop. So yeah, Chris. Okay, the stats aren't bad, but did they really have that good of a game? The defense.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they don't pass the eye test. What I'm seeing doesn't match the stats. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Chris, there were times during this game today I
and there were
said to you,
penalties on Miami too that
hurt them.
stalled their drives, or else it would have the stats would have been better for Miami, right?
Chris, there were several times today I said to you, "Oh my God, Chris, this is last year's defense," didn't I?
Yeah.
After all the improvements we supposedly made, I said to you, "Oh my God, Chris, this is last year's defense. What are we doing out there?" And I'm going to say one thing: why is Bentley on the field?
Yeah,
So
I was
much.
waiting for you. I was
Why?
waiting for you to say that. So talk about that then. Let's talk about the linebacker play and the defensive front, because I thought the front looked pretty good. I mean, they allowed under 100 yards. It was a little bad on the first drive of the game where they were allowing them to gash them a bit, and I think they got most of their yards on that drive on the ground. But they tightened up a little bit. They had some issues with the edge, which pisses me off more than anything else, setting the edge and making sure the running back can't get outside, or whoever's running the ball can't get outside the pocket. They had a few issues doing things like that. But I thought for the most part, the front played pretty well. And I thought the pressure on the quarterback was pretty good. The problem they had was when they dropped in, was underneath, was stopping anything underneath. When guys
Chris,
got
but
through.
how long has that been their problem?
It is. It has been for a long time. And I listen, Bentley stinks. Look, I'm sorry. They were down on the goal line, Miami.
Oh,
for
you
one
went
of their drives.
crazy. Oh, you went crazy on that.
I lost my friggin' mind when I saw that. The one thing I teach to the kids, okay, constantly is when you're filling, and what I mean by filling, it's run fit. When you're filling a gap, or you're filling where the run's going, you're a linebacker, and you got to decide, okay, I'm reading the run, and here it's coming. The one thing I scream at them about, don't choose a gap. Don't just try to guess and choose a gap. And what happened today, Mark?
He chose the wrong gap.
He chose the B gap, and up the A came the running back. And he looked like a fool. He looked like a complete fool. So, look, I thought the pressure was okay. I mean, what did you think of the pressure?
I think the pressure was okay at times, Chris. I think Uche got in on the quarterback. I think Judon at times, put pressure on the quarterback. I think a couple of times I even saw Bondmore rushing up the middle, forcing the pocket. But it was okay. It wasn't spectacular, but it was okay. I think the pressure was okay. But I'll tell you this, Chris. Without Gilmore on the field, your pressure just can't be okay. It's going to have to be better than okay if this team's going to win football games. I'm going to tell you that. Because you're not going to win football games if it's just okay without Gilmore on the field, Chris.
Right. And look, and the other thing too that I'm trying to understand and figure out, two things. I thought the pressure was pretty good. I thought they were undisciplined at times. I thought Judon got a bad penalty over there, a couple of bad penalties on defense. I thought J.C. Jackson played well. We'll get to the secondary in a second, but keeping with the linebacker play.
Now, Chris, that's
why
supposed to be the
isn't
strength
Uche
of
on the
this
field
team.
more?
I don't know.
Why isn't Uche on the field more? Did you see the edge? Did you see him come off that edge and just bull rush that tackle into Tua?
Chris, evidently
that kid's got to be on the field.
Chris, evidently he must struggle against the run. I don't know, because it seemed like Bentley was on the field a ton
more
on first and second down. And Uche, Chris, they played him as a situational player, bringing him in just on third down, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake because I think the kid can seal. I think the kid can handle the run. I think the kid definitely has more speed if he's going to go cover a linebacker than Bentley does.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I do. And I think he can seal the edge so much better than why some of these other guys that are out there. Now, listen, I feel like they kept Tua under control about his movement, getting out. They didn't really let him out of the pocket much.
They didn't.
So in that sense, and you could see what they were doing. They were trying to combine. They were trying to set the edge and seal that area outside the box there, be tackle to tackle, and then trying to bring some pressure up the middle to try to. And they have run blitzes like that where they try to control that line of scrimmage that way. And I thought they did a fairly good job of that, especially in the second half. They looked like they made some adjustments. But Mark, the red zone defense sucks. It sucked last year, and it sucked in this game.
It did.
When they got into the red zone, they had their way. And I don't remember how many times they got in there, Miami, But my recollection is that they got in about 3 or 4 times, or 3, and they scored on every possession.
Well, Chris, I do think the front 7 played. It was a so-so game. They didn't. We thought the front 7 would dominate, Chris, and the front 7 did not dominate. And they played okay, but they didn't dominate, and that's why in the red zone it was so easy for them, because the front 7. Listen, without Gilmore, we said the front 7's going to have to dominate, and they didn't. The secondary didn't play that great. Okay, the secondary made some mistakes, yes, but the front 7, Chris, is going to have to dominate for this defense. We talked about there being a top 10 defense, top 5 defense. They're not going to be that if the front 7 doesn't dominate.
No, and the other thing too is they gotta fix their red zone problems on both sides of the ball. The both sides of the ball, and play calling we'll get to in that segment, but they have to control that, and they're not. You know, they have to be. Remember, that team used to be stout in the red zone. They'd allow them, and I hate to say it, but it was when Patricia was with them.
The bend but don't break with Patricia. Right. Remember?
Allow field goals. Yeah. I mean, so the few times that they got into the red zone, they scored. Yeah, now, I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but it is the last thing I'll say about the front before we get to the secondary. Hightower looks.
Hightower didn't look good today. But Chris, and maybe that's why Bentley was on the field so much, Chris, but I don't think so. Because Bentley, I believe, was on the field with him, because Hightower was on the field too. So, yeah, Hightower. But you know what, Chris? Historically, sometimes we've said this, Hightower gets going as the season goes on. It's almost like, okay, it's money time now and I got to go. And he hits go. Now, I don't know if he'll be able to do that this year, Chris. You're right. He looked like he lost a step today, too. He did. And we'll see how that translates all season long. I don't know. You know?
And the other guy that looked slow, too, was, and, switching gears, was McCourty. McCourty was late getting sideline to sideline today. He was late getting sideline to sideline.
He dropped an interception he should have had. Was right in his hands on that tip ball.
Yep. And then Phillips had a pretty decent game. Duggar
didn't play bad, Chris.
He didn't play bad. He whiffed on a couple of tackles. Yeah,
he did, but he was in on some plays, Chris. He made some good tackles.
Right. I mean, he had 5. He had 5 tackles. The pass deflection. Pass breakup. So, and he had 1 assist. So, I mean, he was around the ball. McCourty had 4 with 3 assists. But again, the eye test. What do you see? You see McCourty, and he looks slow getting over the top.
Hey, Chris, the eye test, right? So for our viewers, the eye test is what? What do you see visually, right? The eye test.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you see.
Visually, what are you seeing? What do you think? What does it actually look like, right? So, and that's what Chris and I are saying. When we say the eye test, what does it look like? And it's just not.
Yeah, it has to pass the eye test.
It's
the stats
not.
may look
it's
okay,
not.
But
it's not.
Just
doesn't look right?
Yeah, he's slow coming over the top. I mean, you have to understand with some of those deeper passes, what's happening is you have you have like the team running, say, with a double receiver, okay, 2 receivers on one side. And so you'll have, say, the number 2 receiver. And the way you number the receivers is from outside to inside. So the number 1 is that outside guy, and the number 2 is the inside slot guy, right? Okay. The slot guy runs like an out, like a shorter pass, linebacker level, stuff. And the one runs a deeper pass, whether it be a post, a go pattern, something like that down the field. The job of the corner in that situation is to basically sink back, to kind of slowly get backwards until he reads the quarterback, turn to the out, and then he goes forward to it. The job of the safety that's sitting on the hash, okay, is got to go over the top to that number 1 that's going vertical down the field, right? That's how the defense is supposed to work. And I watched the corner today do it. I saw Mills do it. I saw J.C. Jackson sink properly, get there, and be underneath that coverage. And I couldn't see, and that was one of the times that they broke the pass up. And the only reason, because McCourty was 2 steps late getting over there. And that's my point to all of this, is McCourty was late. He was late. And so you can't fix that. That's age, that's speed. You can't fix that problem unless you run different type of coverage, right?
Yeah, no, you can't fix that. You're not going to fix the age problem, Chris. And he's probably the oldest guy in the defense, right? Maybe him or maybe Hightower's older. I don't know. And the other thing, Chris, too, who didn't have a good game, is Vinoy. Didn't have a good game.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they were speaking of what you're talking about, the corners and doing their job. And a couple of times the corners, forced to play inside, which they're supposed to. And Vinoy is supposed to be there, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was late, and the receiver caught the ball. The receiver caught the ball and
you're
went
right.
up the field.
You're right. It was a play to the outside, and the corner did what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to seal it.
Yep,
Okay.
and he forced him
set
inside.
that edge, like we've already explained, setting the edge, making sure.
And Van Noy's supposed to be there.
And that linebacker supposed to be coming.
And Van Noy wasn't there.
You know, I said it to my son who plays corner. He said, Dad, he set the edge. I'm like, yeah, and where was the linebacker? Nowhere to be found. You know, these are basic fundamental things. Then, you know, they can get corrected. They can. But the stats show one thing. Now, the rest of the secondary, I thought J.C. Jackson played good. I thought Mills played okay. I didn't think he had a bad game. I thought
played
Williams
okay.
stunk.
He did. Williams stunk, and Williams, Chris, is only on the team because it came down to a numbers thing, and I guess he had to, you know, without Gilmore. If Gilmore's healthy and on the roster, Chris, I don't know if Williams makes the team. He might have got released.
I like, as I said, he doesn't that's a carryover from preseason. We said it in preseason that he didn't look that great, and he didn't look that great in week 1. But Mills played okay. I thought Phillips had a good game. Phillips had some plays in the backfield. You know, he read. You know, the thing about Phillips is when you put him back at his natural position. See, last year he was playing that Chung role. You know, where Patrick Chung, where he would play kind of down in the box. He would play like the run. He would come forward, kind of like a hybrid linebacker safety, right? And now Duggar seems to be taking that role on, and Phillips now is getting back into his safety spot, and he's reading the field really well, I think. He's coming forward on things to help out, and he came forward on that a couple of times. One on a little bubble screen out of the backfield, and he came flying up and made that play. So all in all, the secondary I thought played well. Did the defense play well enough to win? I think so, obviously, because you put the ball on the ground. You put the ball on the ground on a game on a drive that you can go in.
The defense, Chris, didn't make stops when they needed to, right? But in some instances, right, they allowed a couple of plays. They couldn't get the ball back at the end. But I think the defense, you're right, Chris, played well enough to at least win the game. I think, you know, they only gave up 17 points, Chris. You give up 17 points on defense, your offense should win the game for you, you would think. Right?
Yeah, and I said, like, that's why we say about the eye test, because the stats look pretty good. It's just, you know what it is? It's at times when you get on the defense when, everything looks good as a consistent thing across the game, but then when you allow things when you need to have stops. You know, there's a couple of they've always been plagued by that 3rd and long stuff. They can't get off the field. And it happened again today. Parker on the sideline made a nice catch. But you got to get off the field on 3rd and 13.
Chris, listen, how many times, though, at the end of that game, right, how many times during all those Super Bowl teams, those runs, and those championship teams we had, with 3:21 to go in the game, our defense would have got the ball back for for Brady.
They would have got it back.
With 2 minutes to go, they would have used a couple of timeouts, and he would have took them down the field for the game-winning field goal. This defense couldn't get the ball back today for Jones. They couldn't do it. And that's, you know, but how many times when you think down over the years, Chris, that the defense would get the ball back and give it to the offense, and the offense would go produce? I think Jones would have did it. They just couldn't get him the ball back.
I have full confidence in watching what Jones did today that he would have gotten them back into scoring position.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And, you know, but again, the defense, you're right. Do they have the horses to get to that point? Yeah, probably. But this was a game you needed to win. You should have won because of what happened in the league today.
Chris, I know it's the first week of the season, but you would have been 1-0 in the division. You would have had one game up on the entire division.
Right. And because that was a bad loss for Buffalo. Lost to the Steelers today at home when they had the lead, and the Steelers came back in typical Steeler fashion and won the game in the end and held on.
But Chris, this was a bad loss for us too, because we lose a division game at home.
Yep.
You can't do that.
Whammy.
It's a double whammy. You can't do that.
Double whammy. But at least Harry wasn't on the field, Mark. At least Harry wasn't there, right?
I'm already upset. You got to bring up Harry. You're gonna bring up Harry when DK Metcalf scored a touchdown today. Debut Samuel had 178 yards receiving. You're gonna bring up Harry?
Mark, penalties, and I have a feeling that when we get to our next segment on the other side after break, we're going to be talking about those penalties a little bit. I have a feeling like you people out there better get geared up for Mark on the other side. So when we come back, our Sunday stiff right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout from Pat's Nation for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket, or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group. Now back to Pat's Nation.
Back in with more Pat's Nation, the real Patriots post-game show. And listen, we got to get to our Sunday stiff today. Joe, let's have it. So, Mark, listen, once again, Mark had a pretty good explanation of what the Sunday stiff is. And I think if anybody's ever listened to this show, Mark uses that word like he invented it. So let's get right into it, Mark. Who to you?
Well, Chris, I'm going to tell you something. I had
a guy that just completely
well,
screwed
Chris,
the
I
day.
had a few things that I was thinking of for the Sunday stiff as this game was going on. So right off the top of my head, I was thinking of Damian Harris, right? I mean, you fumble the ball inside the 15-yard line late, right? On a play that really, it wasn't even a good, you can't even say, oh, the guy made a good play, he knocked the ball free. I mean, it was just a normal tackle, and the ball came out of his hands, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. He had 100 yards receiving in the rushing, but he only had like 12 carries for like 20-something yards in the second half. Like the second half, Harris really
but
slowed.
that was Mark. That was play calling.
No, it was play. No, it was
getting him the ball as much.
It was play calling, but he had a rough second half, Chris. So he ran across my mind, and I gave him some consideration, but I didn't go with him as my Sunday.
Good thing,
stiff.
because I was about to scream at you in a second.
I did not go. Listen, let me finish. I did not go with him. Who I did go with was the coaching staff. Was terrible, absolutely terrible today. Terrible. That's my Sunday stiff. Is the coaching staff.
Okay. No, you can't just get away with saying the whole coaching staff, Mark. You can't say the whole coach. Come on, narrow it down for the people. Do your job, Mark. Do your job right now.
Wait a minute. You want me to be like Bobby? Bobby calling yesterday from the heated hotline. The bum Belichick. He called him a bum. Right?
You look like a bum today.
You look like a bum today. I'll tell you what, Chris. I'm gonna go with Josh McDaniels. I'm gonna go with Josh. Because, Chris, in the first half, you're driving. You're driving down the field and you're running the ball.
It just drove me nuts.
Right. They don't show they can stop the run out of the gate, Miami, right? And Chris I'm talking to Chris, and he's saying to me, Mark, they're gonna call a goddamn play action here. They're gonna call it. They're gonna effing call it, he says. Right? What do?
Those were the words, too.
They call play action. That was the play where he throws the ball, backwards, and it kills the whole drive, right? Why are you calling that, Chris? Why?
It pisses me off. Listen, I have a huge. I'll get to my Sunday stiff in a second. I'm not going to push back too hard on you.
And Chris, there were other plays on offense, Chris. We talked about this numerous times during the game, that the offensive play calling, we just didn't agree with it today.
No, that's right. And that's the one. I was already in midseason form when that shit happened. Okay, because you're running the ball, you're moving the ball, just as Mark's saying. You're moving the ball down the field. You got a rookie quarterback on his first drive in the NFL, and you're moving the ball by running it. You get to the red. What the hell are you doing on a play action pass? Which, by the way, fooled no one. If a moron like me, okay, can sit there If an idiot like me can sit there and say, you know, hey, there's a play action pass coming up right now and it's a bad idea. What do I know? And I'm saying that. And you're Josh McDaniel. I want his salary. Give me his money because that was a crap call. And the Dolphins weren't fooled on it at all. They came right off the edge, you know. And on top of it, here's the other thing that pisses me off about that play. Not so much what Mac Jones did, because he made a real blunder there too by not just going down and taking the sack. He tries to turn around and see Smith there, so he throws the ball at him, not realizing it's a lateral, but a backwards pass. But what irritates me is you're going to set up a play action pass, Mark, and your blocking scheme is going to be Smith blocking the left tackle, the left defensive end coming off the edge, which, by the way, blew right by him. And that's what caused the problem.
Chris, then
is that?
And then, Chris, it might have been in the second half, and it might have been when they got a field goal, I think. They got a 2nd and 7. And it was a perfect situation for Jones. Jones was getting into a rhythm at that point to throw the ball down the field a little bit. Or even if he throws a dink or a dunk for 5 or 6 yards, you set up a 3rd and 1. He decides he's going to pitch the ball out wide to Harris. Really? And no yards.
He got it. He got the. Although that was not the one where he got the first down, because I was yelling about that.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I just think McDaniels, Chris, didn't say. I mean, as well as Jones played, I just don't think McDaniels set him up with his play calling today at all. And that was my Sunday stiff. And I know you probably have a Sunday stiff.
Listen, last thing, especially in the red zone, his play calling the red zone is atrocious. Yeah. It's atrocious. For me, I got to go Belichick. I have to go Belichick. Yeah, I could put it on Harris too. So you want to call 1A and call Harris? Fine. But I thought he had a pretty good game otherwise. Belichick, I put this on squarely on his shoulders because the buck stops here. You want to commit 8 penalties in the game? That's such an undisciplined thing. You know, the way the offensive line was downfield blocking, committing penalties, the ball being put on the ground, putting guys in positions to not succeed, okay? To me, that's irritating. That pisses me off. And so while Belichick's not on the field, to me, he's responsible. He's responsible for the discipline of his team. He's responsible for that friggin' stiff, I call stiff every week, Bolden, bringing the ball out of the end zone when he's 5 yards deep. What the hell is he even doing back there? Don't tell me because J.J. Taylor was out. Put Gunner back there then. Put somebody with some speed, not some guy that runs slower than Mark coming out of the friggin' end zone.
Joe, you got to use me as an example. Come on.
Okay, really? Joe, running like Joe then. How's that?
All right.
Oh, my God. Again. 2 days in a row, 2 shows in a row. You have no idea how fast I am.
Listen. That's
Chris,
my
the
Sunday
other thing,
stiff.
Chris, I'll put on coaching too. Either coach. You want to put on Belichick or McDaniels. The lack of the integration of the tight end in this game plan today was atrocious. Atrocious.
So those are the Sunday stiff, and I think Mark and I both agree. You can't have a Sunday stiff without having somebody at the Sunday seat. Sunday seat is who gets to sit next to us on Sunday. Who had a good enough game to be able to sit with us? Mark, I think it's unanimous here, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be Jones. It's got to be Mac Jones. Well, for all the reasons we've already discussed. So Mac Jones gets a Sunday seat, and the coaching.
Chris, he had I looked it up, Chris. He had a 102 passer rating today. Yeah, for his first game out of the gate. I mean, his rating was 102. He played a good game.
Yep. And so, but the coaching staff collectively gets the Sunday Stiff Award, and that's being brought to you by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us. How can I stumble through that, Mark? Really? CORSO
you want to be ashamed of yourself.
Really? Yeah, well, you know what? I'm pissed off today. That's a game we should have won. So allow us to be your voice. When we come back, actually, no, we're going to get right into. Sorry,
Joe. He's all confused today, Joe.
No, I'm not confused. Well, we were supposed to have a break there, but we went a little long on the Sunday stiff. So let's get right into Brady versus Belichick right here, right now. Doesn't it make you sick? Doesn't it make you sick every time you see that horrendous uniform on him?
Oh, Listen, I don't think, Chris, it would be so bad if it wasn't that uniform. Those ugly uniforms they have, and those colors. You know,
that platinum, whatever.
I don't know what the
sort
hell
of
that color
shit
is.
color that is. You know
I don't
what I
know.
mean?
I don't
That
know what it is.
lousy place to
Oh.
live. You know,
Am I the only one? I kind of like the color scheme. I hate the logo, the emblem, the flag, and the thing. They couldn't have come up with something better than that.
Chris, he likes the color scheme.
I'm the only guy I know.
So not only is he slow, he's colorblind too. On top of it.
All right, Chris. Belichick versus Brady. What do we think this week?
You look. I mean, look. I just gave Belichick the Sunday Stiff Award. So I can't possibly think that Belichick dueled Brady today, this week. Well, Brady gets it. Brady gets it.
Well,
Again,
Chris, let's talk briefly, though, Chris, about that. We never really talked about it. Let's talk quickly about that game, though, last week, Thursday night. So, yeah. Chris, the man's 44 years old. He's 44 years old.
I mean, you know.
That's
not 4 years younger than me. Can you picture me 4 years ago getting on any type of football field right now? You're going to bring the stretcher out, and I go off in the ambulance immediately. I'll pull a hamstring just coming out of the locker room.
That's what happened to me. That's why I'm not. I'm the same age as Brady. You know,
that's why you're not fast anymore.
Not fast anymore.
Forget it, Chris. It's almost unconscionable. It's not even believable that at 44 years old he can do what he's doing on the football field. Chris, I know he had that one interception. It was a Hail Mary thrown to the end zone at the end of the half. I'm not even going to count that. And then he had that one other pick. But
Gronk should have had that though.
But Chris, you're right, Joe. He should have. But Chris, he made every damn throw that he was supposed to make. The ball he threw the Brown for the touchdown was just. It was just. I'm like, I don't believe I'm watching him at this age make those throws, Chris.
We're not going to be able to get over it until he retires. I mean, because he's sticking it in our face, and he's sticking it in Belichick's face every damn week he goes out there, and I shudder to think what's going to happen in week 4. But he friggin' stuffs it up he shoves it up our, every time he goes out there. And you knew because Dallas didn't play him bad. I think Tampa on offense had an uneven night, but not because of number 12, because I think the other guys have to improve. But Mark, when Dallas took the lead in that game, and there was like a minute 20 left on the clock.
Wait a minute. What did I tell you? I was on the phone with you. What did I tell you when Dallas went down and the kid wanted to kick the field goal? I said they lost. They way too much time left on the clock. I said they lost.
Yep. Because they're throwing the ball, Dallas. Ugh. I'm not going to break that game down.
How many times have we seen that, Chris? You're going to give him that amount of time on the field?
Everybody in New England shut the TV off.
You knew.
At that moment. You knew he was going to do it. He's going to bring that team down. He's going to put them in range. They're going to win the game. I mean, that's it. That's what he does. I will say this, though. Okay.
Here we go. I know.
Once again, he gets the call. He gets the nod. I swear to God, Brady sold his soul to somebody. I swear to God he did, because everything goes right for him. Mark, 44 years old. Guy's not skipping a beat. I'm watching him on the Subway commercials today. Who, by the way, Subway should, get something from them, Joe. We're munching them. So
sponsor us.
Subway, he's on the Subway commercials looking as good as ever, right? Looking as young and
you're going to talk about the Godwin. You're going to talk about the Godwin penalty at the end of the game.
It was push off. It was an OPI. It was an offensive pass interference. It was clear as a bell. He extended his arm. Guy stumbled and fell down to the ground. And you hold that in your pocket?
Because you only want to see things one way. Because before that, he was holding his jersey the whole way. He pushed off to get released from the hold.
I don't want to hear about that.
He was holding him.
I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about that. So
listen.
I think
the man is the baddest MFer on the planet. He says it himself. I'm the baddest MFer on the planet. And he is, Chris. Until somebody knocks him off that pedestal, he is. And I'm going to tell you something, Chris. I told you this, and I've been telling you this all summer, and you don't want to hear it. They're going to repeat. They're going to repeat.
Well, watching what I saw today, and we got to get, but
they're going to repeat.
Watching what I saw today out of the NFL and the NFCs, particularly, yeah, I mean, Tampa's going to roll. Green Bay looked terrible.
Oh, Green Bay looked awful.
Rodgers looked about 170 years old.
Because Rodgers just wants out of there, Chris. He wants out.
Right. Tampa's going to roll right through that conference. Right through it. They're going to go right through it. You're right. I'm sick to my stomach. So I think we all both agree that it's Brady. It seems to be Brady every week, doesn't it?
Chris, week 4, though, I can't wait to see you week 4. You're going to be so charged up for that game.
Charged up and pissed off. So Brady versus Belichick was brought to you by Jag Media Productions. And it sounds to me like that's the 2-minute warning has sounded, Mark. So, God, the time went by fast again. And you know what? We have so much to say about it. So, Mark, give me your final thoughts on this one.
My final thoughts, Chris. I'm really disappointed in the outcome of this game, obviously. You blew a great opportunity. The whole division loses. You got a division game. You could get one game up on the whole division. You lose. It was such an undisciplined performance, Chris. Penalties, fumbles. The coaching I thought was bad. But yet the silver lining was Mac Jones. And if he can build off today, I think the future is bright, not only for him, but I think we got a shot to win a lot more games than we lose this year. But today, Chris, it was just awful. It was a bad performance. It was just bad. No excuse. You should have won this game. You can't lose those games at home. It's just very upsetting the way we lost today. Very upsetting.
And real quick, your thoughts. And listen, we're going to go through the Jets game and next Saturday at Corso Catone for our Pats preview segment. But just Mark, real quick, they're going to bounce. I mean,
Chris, they're on the road next week. The battle of the rookies next week. Wilson against Jones.
There's a possibility of them possibly being 2-0 in the division.
Could have been
going into the New Orleans game, right? It's possibly so now they got to prove back to 1-1. So for me, Mark, I'm not really a positive person. Okay, just generally speaking. And
really?
I'm pretty pissed off. I'm pretty pissed off. You had your turn. I'm pretty pissed off about the loss, but I will say this. I'm encouraged. They're in that game. They're right there. They have an opportunity to win. And sometimes when you play these games, you walk away from the game saying, it's about us. It's about us. It wasn't about them. It was about us. And I feel like that today. I feel like this was everything the Patriots didn't do versus this is what Miami did to them. And listen, that sounds like a homer and that sounds like an apologist. And listen, Joe and Mark will tell you flat out, there's nobody that crucifies that team more than me. Okay. But I will tell you that there's some positives to take out of it. And the fact that it's them that did it. 8 penalties, 2 turnovers, and you lose by 1. Okay. And so I firmly believe that if Harris doesn't put that ball on the ground, I think we're having a much different conversation right now. And really main focus is how great Mac Jones looked in his first game. We're soured a little bit because we lose the game and it was a tremendous opportunity. But the bottom line is it looks better than it did last year. And let's see how it goes. Right.
I agree.
Some people to thank. That's right. Some people to thank, Mark, tonight. We want to thank the good people over at Special Sauce Podcast, Startup Finance, and Drive Your Business to Success. SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Want to thank Jag Media Productions. All the things you see here brought to you by Jag Media Productions. Studio 42 Designs. All your graphic designs need. Log on, studio42designs.com. Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. And Mountain View Home Watch and Security, Scottsdale's leading home watch and security firm. Also want to thank our producer, director, putting it together. And it's always a tough thing for Joe Guarneri to deal with us after a Patriots loss. But Joe, I thought we were pretty calm. And I think, I thought we were pretty calm under the circumstances, maybe because it's week 1. But
I think the excitement of Mac Jones, delivers that.
Yeah.
You guys that even keel.
That a little bit happy feel to us.
A little
right?
bit. By week 4, I think he might be. It might be a force to reckon with.
Mark's head is going to pop off his body if something like this happens next week against the Jets. That's all That's all I can say. So make sure you tune in next week. And that brings me to that. Join us next Sunday when the Pats of the Pats Nation 30 minutes following the Jets game. The Jets-Patriots game, and we are the real post-game show. It's the only post-game show, as Joe says, that's worth watching. The Patriots going to travel to the New York Jets at 1 p.m. Eastern. We will be on 30 minutes following that game for a breakdown of all the doings in that particular game. And also, we want you to tune in to Corso and Catone next Saturday, where we will preview that Jets-Patriots game. It should be a good one. So, for Mark Catone, Joe Guarnieri, I'm Chris Corso. Final score, the Dolphins down the Patriots. So I wish it was the other way, but the Dolphins beat the Patriots 17-16. So long, everyone.